Bring her in right now.
I'm going to let her come in first, and we'll do a roll call vote while she's remote.
I'm
There
here.
you go.
So on the motion to come on a non-public, Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachran.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. We're on non-public.
I'd like, Chairman Foote, I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes indefinitely because it is determined that the divulgence of this information likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board and render a proposed action ineffective.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. On the motion, Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachran.
Yes.
And the chair votes, Council Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Derry Town Council meeting for Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. Do a roll call vote. Council Mills.
Here.
Council Webb.
Present.
Council Chase.
Good evening.
Council Mosier will not be joining us this evening. Council McEachran.
Yeah.
And Council Spencer remotely.
Good evening.
And good evening from the chair. All right. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Council Mills. Please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could all remain standing for a moment of silence. This past week we lost Craig Bulkley, and I'll get into him in a few minutes and why he's so important to us. Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion?
Motion to open public forum.
Second.
Okay, motion and second on the motion. Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachran.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open. If you wish to speak, come up and do so. State your name and address for the record. And watch the lights. You have 3 minutes.
Steve Trefethen, a Derry resident, 13 North Shore, also a business owner and property owner. Congratulations to my new representative on the council, District 3, and congratulations that we have several people new and experienced running for the other open position, to say that. I've brought several issues up here and have brought them for many meetings, but recently I've asked the council to take a look at consolidating apartments, maybe using subcontractors if we can save money. Doesn't mean we have to do anything about it, but as a taxpayer and a homeowner, I would like to at least hear what's out there and what possibilities we have. Recently, I don't know, a few months ago, I asked the town council not to be so quick to vote for a zone change on Folsom. After talking to my engineer yesterday, on my property, he did say, pushing the highway close to our properties created driveway issues with as far as the driveways being very steep. And then what he said to me, and I don't know because I'm meeting with him Thursday and I'll be bringing it back to the council, is he did say to me, it's bad enough what the state did, but the town killed one of your lots with that new zoning change. So when I came here before, I said we shouldn't be so quick to vote for what planning brings in front of us in a week when we're not going to be doing much for 2 years. There should be some diligence done. I know it's done in the planning board, and council doesn't get to, but I would like to hear more questions from the council. That would be nice. And even if it's just ideas, it's kind of nice when you don't hear 7-0 votes a lot We've had a lot of them over the past couple of years. And I think it's just for debate. Doesn't mean we have to change anything, do anything, but as a resident, I don't know what's going on, what paperwork you have, what's going on behind what you see. So I just like to hear it on this end, just to hear the reasoning behind what the council does. So thank you for listening again, and I appreciate all the good work everybody's done.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, we are seeing none rise at this time on the...
Eileen?
Seeing no one
Oh,
rise,
yeah.
Hold up.
up, I stand corrected.
I was waiting to see if someone else was going to talk first, but. Hi, I'm Eileen Chabot. I've lived here since 1991, and I want to speak on behalf of what's in front of you tonight for considering 23 Gulf Road to be named in honor of Margie Ives. I've known Margie pretty much since I moved to town, and she has been so dedicated over the years, over the decades, for the betterment of our conservation areas in town. Not only acquiring several, like Cornelison would be a good example, Broadview Farm, what she did to promote agriculture through the community gardens at Broadview Farm. She so carefully utilized and nurtured her networks within the community as someone who's very much loved and respected within the community of Derry, and also across the state to make sure things happened. She got that community garden going. She also got the Go Green Committee going to help educate the public about the importance of conservation. She, through the Go Green Committee, she got folks to come on trail walks so that they could understand their conservation areas and utilize them better. Oh my goodness, I could go on and on, but she also got the Boy Scouts involved as well. If you go down to the Low property, you see signage that was created by the Boy Scouts. If you go to any number of our conservation areas, you'd find walkways and bridges that were built by the Boy Scouts, largely because Margie used her connections with the Boy Scouts to make that happen. She was a mentor to many, including myself. She followed in the example of the conservation legends we have here in Derry that have passed on. Fran Cormier is one. Albert Doolittle is another. She just has done so much for this community in the name of conservation, and so many other areas too, as I'm sure you are all aware. But I think if you consider everything on the whole, on what she's done for conservation for this town, I think it's very, very fitting that 23 Gulf Road be named Margie Ives Conservation Area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So thank you for the kind words. We are having a public hearing, so Eileen, you're able to speak again if you wish, but on a roll. Anybody else? Hi.
Hello,
Name and address for the record, please.
my name is Christopher Ramirez and I live in Derry on Shenetta Road with my mom. I want to start by saying this is just my perspective, based on what I see and hear every day as an Uber and Lyft driver. A lot of people don't realize how easy it is to become homeless. We pass homeless people every day at traffic lights, sleeping in cars, outside grocery stores with signs that say, "We'll work for food," and yet somehow we stopped really seeing them. Many people assume homelessness is caused by bad decisions or laziness, but from talking to people regularly, I've learned it's often much simpler and much scarier than that. You can lose your home because you can't afford rent anymore. You might get kicked out of your parents' house. You might go through a divorce. You might get hit with a massive hospital bill. I didn't even know hospitals could take someone's house as collateral until someone told me it happened to them. And even when people try to get help, it's not simple. Shelters are often full. There are limited beds available. You could lose your home today and still be turned away tonight because there is nowhere to put you. In February of last year, I heard a story that really stuck with me. A woman froze to death behind a Home Depot. She had nowhere to go, no place to sleep. It was freezing cold. She died and it didn't even make the news. I only heard about it from someone I picked up the next day who worked there. That was a real person, someone with a name, and most of us never even knew she existed. People often wonder why addiction is so common among the homeless. I think part of the answer is easier than we want to admit. Imagine living outside, cold every night, hungry, never feeling safe, never knowing where you sleep. There's only so much stress a human nervous system can take before it breaks. Most people don't use substances because they're having fun. They use them to numb pain, to survive conditions that feel unbearable. That doesn't excuse addiction, but it helps explain it. Our brains are wired to avoid suffering. When someone lives in constant danger and discomfort, substances can become a coping mechanism, even when that coping mechanism causes more harm in the long run. The real issue is systemic. Rent is out of control, and wages haven't kept up. If the lowest paying job in the area pays $13 an hour, a person working full-time should be able to afford a modest one-bedroom apartment without constant stress. But the reality is many people are already working nonstop and still falling behind. People aren't poor because they're lazy, they're exhausted. I often tell my passengers that we spend more time at our jobs than with our family, friends, or loved ones, and that being human feels more shaped around paying our bills on time than around connection or actually living. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wish to speak? I want anyone online.
Seeing none rise, Mr. Chair.
And seeing no one else rising, I'll make a motion to close the public forum.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to close public forum. Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Public hearing, public forum is now closed. Consent agenda. We have item 26-06, approved minutes from January 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, accept the consent. Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, motion carries 6-0. Moving on, the chair's report. So, after the pledge, we did the moment of silence for Craig Bulkley. Craig Bulkley was a Derry resident until recently. He was a town councilor years ago. He served over 15 years as a town councilor. He was our first town administrator after the incorporation of the new town council form of government, and that was in 1986, I believe.
Mid-80s,
So
yep.
he served from 86 to 88 as the town administrator. He was involved in the Community Playground Committee from 1991 to 1994. He was the chair of the town council in 1998 and 1999 and 2006 to 2007. He was on the executive board of directors from 2002 till, I'm not sure when, but of the DEDC. And he was a member of the Derry Village Rotary. And this week he would have celebrated 36 years as a Derry Rotarian, so which does a lot of community service here in the community. He was the longest serving member of the Alexander Eastman Foundation here in Derry. He did over 30 years there. I was fortunate enough to serve with him on that committee. And I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm going to be missing about his resume of what he's done to impact the community. He was involved in the Boys and Girls Club as a board of directors member. Very involved with them. He was the Liquor Commission, New Hampshire Liquor Commission for over 26 years, instrumental in getting us our liquor store here in Derry. He was a colonel, United States Army, did over 30 years, served honorably, and he was a member of the Derry Assistance Veterans Fund here in town. So as of now, services will be in the springtime at Boscawen, at the Veteran Cemetery. So as the winter thaws and we get to the spring, I'll let everyone know when that will be, but he'll have full military honors. So thank you for indulging us in honoring Craig Bulkley. So thank you. Anyone else like to say anything?
Yeah.
Councilman McGregor.
Yeah, I mean, it was very early on in the early 90s that I had met a couple of gentlemen in this town that were instrumental in getting me involved, and it was back then when I made a decision. I had been on the planning board for a year with the help of Fred Tompkins and Art McLean, that I was introduced to Craig Bulkley, and Craig and I ran together for my first 3 terms from, as you noted, 96 to 2007, and it was quite a joy and a thrill to get to know Craig and the rest of the crew back then. And this one hurts. I mean, Craig was a great guy. Again, very instrumental in my life and getting me involved in politics in Derry, and he will be sorely missed.
Thank you. Council Webb.
I got hired by Derry Fire in 1987, and my first Christmas I was on duty. Not unusual. Craig came by all the stations, visited the police department, just to wish us employees a Merry Christmas. He took, the time away from his family to do that. And I saw throughout the years, working on a couple projects with him, like the playground thing, just what I considered quiet, gentle leadership and dedication to other people, to just, in many ways, just as being an example, to show how you can make things better. And he'll be sorely missed.
Thank you. All right. So, and I'll segue into another sad announcement. So last meeting, you remember, we did a moment of silence for Farmer Phil Ferdinando. There will be a celebration of life for Farmer Phil tomorrow, February 4th, at Birchwood Vineyards, 199 Rockingham Road in Derry. Guests are encouraged to carpool as parking is limited. The reception will be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then again from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And in lieu of flowers, they're asking that donation be made to the New Hampshire Farm Bureau. And Farmer Phil is another one who's very instrumental, always at the pantry plunge every year when the food pantry tries to raise money. What he's done for conservation, tonight we'll hear about Margie Ives, but Farmer Phil was also one of the leading people with the push about conservation, and he'll be greatly missed in all his contributions. So all our thoughts and prayers to both families. So now let's go on to the good stuff. Boards and committees. We have some presentations tonight. Let's start with the Highway Safety Committee. Is Scott Savard here?
So I came prepared this evening. Scott had mentioned that he was probably not likely to be able to make it tonight. I can present Highway Safety Committee meetings. They had 7 meetings in the past year. And basically, there were 2 site plan reviews that they conducted. They had 3 requests for stop signs, review of individual traffic conditions. And then the only other major item that they had conducted throughout the year was an assessment of some innovative technology. There was a vendor that came up, was recommended to the police department to look at a way to use GPS to assess speeds throughout the community, target specific zones, and ultimately it turned out to be that it was a little bit too expensive for the product that was being presented. But Highway Safety Committee's taken on all those cases and will continue their work throughout 2026. So that's a summary of their activities for the past year.
Thank you. All right. And we do this every year, so according to the town charter, we're required to do this annually, meet with all the boards and committees for those who are new in the audience. So next up, we'll have the Planning Board, Chairman David Nelson. And Elizabeth Robidoux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the council. You do have a slide deck. I'll try to be fairly brief. First, we want to review some headline activities during the past year. We completed a visioning process for the Gateway Zoning District that was quite involved. We had 4 visioning sessions, and this was in pursuant of a master plan goal. And after all of that input was received, we recommended some zoning amendments for the council to consider, and the council did adopt those. And so we're going forward with that. We also recommended some zoning amendments for compliance with current state law. As you're all aware, there was a lot of activity with regard to zoning and housing in 2025. So we have brought our zoning in compliance with state law, and the council has also adopted those amendments. And internally, we did some amendments to the land development control regulations that were technically required either to support the zoning or to have a smoother process flow. In terms of residential and mixed-use approvals, in 2025, we had 0 townhomes. We had 2 condominium conveyances. There were 9 single-family lots approved, and 117 units of multifamily residence in the Abbott Court development. So in terms of the notable approvals, obviously Abbott Court was the culmination of, I think, literally decades of planning through both the council and various ad hoc committees. A vision that finally is coming to concrete reality. Again, 117 apartments, 230,000 square feet of new commercial use. We also have 43.5 Crystal Avenue, the Grindhouse, which we understand is still in progress. That's 23,000 square feet of restaurant, retail, potential office, additional retail and associated improvements. And then the 5 B Street Euro Stop is a 7,700 square foot auto repair facility. Housing continues to be a hot item both in the state and nationwide. The town of Derry will continue to see increased pressure to add housing. Based on the housing needs assessment, Derry's net cumulative fair share of new housing units is 2,309 units by the year 2040. Derry has approved a total of 280 units between 2024 and 2025, which brings our cumulative total to 612 new units. In 2024, Derry was proud to receive housing champion status from the state, the Bureau of Economic Affairs. However, unfortunately, funding for this program has been substantially curtailed at the state level. Kind of a disappointment because this was going to be a carrot method for encouraging housing development as opposed to the stick that we're currently dealing with. But maybe that'll come back at some point. In terms of visioning what's next, one of the first things we want to ask is, does the council have any goals? Do they have any issues that they would like to see the planning board address in 2026? Putting you guys on the spot, but do you have any thoughts on that currently?
Council Webb.
So it dovetails on what somebody spoke earlier. That would be availability of workforce housing. I know the old Fisher-Craft site is still up in the air. I had mentioned this before, I think when I first became a councilor, that some of the larger developments, seeing if they could set aside a small percentage, even if it's just 2 units per development, set aside as affordable housing as defined by the HUD for the Merrimack Valley region.
Okay, great. Those are things we can definitely work on. Again, with the housing is a major theme, so we'll continue to work on those things. Any other? If you don't have anything tonight, please forward them to Ms. Robidoux in the planning department, and we'll try to get them on our agenda this year.
Council Mills.
Just to keep you informed, we have a large number of housing bills coming through in Concord, and we will, myself and Councilor Foote, who is also a state representative, will be sure to get you those updates as soon as we possibly can as things change. As you know, they're looking to be very, very fluid this year with adding housing and increments for financing, things like that. So you will be informed as soon as we know of it.
I believe Ms. Rhoda has a tracker of that. I did attend some hearings last year. My takeaway is that the advocates for these changes are very excited, perhaps a little zealous about their cause, and so getting changes, amendments is probably going to be a little bit difficult. I also will note that I think that the town needs to have some advocacy up there for issues that impact us, whether it's council members, the administrator's designee, the planning director. Got no one else. I'm retired, I could go up, but I think that we need to make our voice heard to the extent we can. Last year, we were relying on the New Hampshire Municipal Association, and they're very nice people, but I saw they weren't getting much respect from some of the committees, so I think some elected folks might have greater impact in discussing those issues. Just my personal impression from attending a couple of those hearings.
Anyone else?
So we do have as our second item to create a non-normative workforce housing index. So there is an element of state law that requires towns to have a workforce housing ordinance. We have workforce housing embedded throughout our ordinance. And in order to meet the spirit of that requirement, we're planning to put together an index saying, here's all the elements of workforce housing, and here is the sections in the zoning ordinance where they're currently addressed. So non-normative, meaning it doesn't change any of the regs or the ordinance, but it acts as a guide. Engineering will be required to provide some suggested revisions to our regulations. They always come up with things that need tweaking and improvement, so we will be engaging with the engineering department on that. And to underscore what we're hearing, we're going to track 2026 legislation regarding planning, zoning, and housing. Thank yous are always in order. I want to thank the folks from DerryCAM who facilitate the televising of our planning board meetings. I want to thank the Technical Review Committee who provide so much background work and make our plan review process extremely easy and streamlined. I want to thank the planning staff, Ms. Robideau, Ms. Wilson, and our former intern, Nick, who is sorely missed because he contributed a lot. And then, of course, my fellow planning board members who dedicate their time, volunteer to do this work. I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm willing to take questions.
Questions? Anybody? Nope. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming. All right. Next up, we have the zoning board. Chair Lynn Perkins. Good evening.
And good evening to all of you. Nice to see you. Let's see here. Mr. Venture is going to assist me as I nudge him to flip the pictures as I go along, but let me just clear something up first. I submitted the audit in September in the fall, presuming that you all have that, and there's a little bit of a glitch to it, so I'll just clear that up. And the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and understand before I proceed, part of the presentation is that some people may not be familiar with everything the Zoning Board does, what we're immersed in, and what the benefit to the town and the community is. And relative to the legislation that's pending up in Concord or bills that have been submitted, I think that taking away local voice and control is a detriment to every town, including especially our own. So in that spirit, the presentation that I give is just to be all-encompassing for folks that may know about the zoning board and may not know. Understanding also that we're also looking for volunteers to join the zoning board. We may have one vacancy currently, and more so once we hit March. So I'll proceed. Our annual audit, the board covers variances, equitable waivers, lot line adjustments, special exceptions, and administrative appeals. This past year, we had 28 variances, 3 special exceptions, 2 requests for rehearing. One was an appeal off of that, and there were no lot line adjustments or administrative appeals. And that was just basically to clear up that audit because somebody who wrote it didn't write it very clearly. Anyway, Mr. Provencher, we have a couple of pictures back from that one, if we could.
Okay. Might be in reverse order here. Let's see if we can get...
And further back. No, go the other way. 6, 1, 2 more. Right there.
Okay.
All right. So this business has been established for a while, and just notably, when they had a grand opening, the zoning board, who was first to give approval for their venture, did not get invited to the open house. And but this is the southern part of our community. It's General Commercial 3. And for anybody who has not seen this project or hasn't been able to identify with it, it is a event. It's called Hyla-Brook, and it's primarily for wedding venues. Outside of this property, right about where the cursor shows, there used to be an old dilapidated home, and then to the right of that is an existing rubble foundation that I think makes the area kind of is attractive to the area because it shows kind of the history. This is right down the street from the Robert Frost farm. The variance on this was granted as a use variance, but not just as a wedding venue, but also as to have a residence on the parcel. The residence was not an approved use for this parcel, and it was a caretaker's residence. The folks that built this and are running it were also looking for overnight accommodations, but the board tabled that for consideration down the road once the applicants became established. The next picture there, Mr. And I think a lot of us who've been in and around the main track of the town, Rockingham Road and up Birch Street, will recognize this building. This building used to have a very rundown home on it. At one point, it was a convenience store going back probably 30 years ago. And what's taken its place now is Derry Plumbing and Heating. And the issue with this property is that it was a commercial application, but it was being constructed within 75 feet of a 1 acre or larger wetland. The wetland actually transfers across 2 properties, so it divides that body of water up. But what's significant about this, and one of the challenges that the zoning board may face, the significance here was the deed. ExxonMobil had owned that property at one point, had intended on putting a gas station there, and their deed requirement restricted residential construction on a transfer. So it was only available for something commercial. This is the office medical business district, OMB, and in the end, I think it's a good fit. And I think it starts, or, you know, it supports the corridor that's now in development that starts over by Clam Haven B&H gas station and what the development of that corridor is. So I think it's a good complement, and it's also supports the tax rolls in a commercial way. And next, Mr. Preventer. Yeah, so this is Abbott Court, and I think Chairman Wells and Ms. Robidoux just touched on this. This is from the Sabatino's location. And the board gave approval to this, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I guess, and it's been a long time in development, and obviously there's not a lot to show there. But again, the board's advocation and support of municipal property and development. This property, as many people may or may not be aware of, had some oil contamination from the day of the railroads and delivery, which this was the Harry Wells heating oil site. The variances that were, the relief that was granted, there were several of them. They were for overall height of the building and usage and the amount of workforce, studio housing kind of things that the town is creating to benefit commercial development within the community. It'll be nice to have this on the tax rolls versus just sitting stagnant as it had been done for many years. And next, Mr. Frencher. So this is Bangor Savings Bank, and this, along with the next photo, we can go to the next one, Mr. Preventer, thank you, Common Man. These 2 properties are side by side, and both of them needed variances. The Bangor Savings location needed it. It was the prior at one time a Pizza Hut, which I can remember going to back in the early 70s. And when that Pizza Hut building was constructed, the regulations for that area were not as stringent as they are today. The relief there with the Bangor Bank was setbacks, because the lot was so small that they could barely fit the building onto it. So the board gave relief there, and obviously, I would presume planning helped move that along. The Common Man parcel is where the old Wendy's used to be, and the significance of the board in this case, well, the relief was a setback of the building, setback relief, and in this case, there's 2 easements on this property. Both are were granted to the town. They were water, sewer, or drainage, something along that, and they kind of triangulated across the parcel. The old Wendy's facility actually sat in between the easements, and when the Common Man came in to buy it, obviously that spread there with the building would make that lot more difficult. So anyway, this is the general commercial zone, and we like to see the development that's starting to come along there, and planning, as Mr. Wells had just indicated, Nelson had just indicated, has other development that's commercial there, and the town has been starving for this as an offset to property taxes for some time. Next, Mr. Provencher. This is Aspen Dental. Some people may remember it as an old baby blue house that was built during the Victorian age. Had a tool rental business in the back, and it also was a used car lot. This is in the industrial Ford district across from Hannaford's and Burger King. And this was a usage variance that Aspen Dental was looking for, because it was medical, and dental is an unapproved use in that zone. And next, Mr. Provencher. Thank you very much. So this is going to segue into my next topic, which is going to go to electronic messaging signs. That Cumberland Farms sign right there with the price is the first electronic digital messaging sign that the Zoning Board of Adjustment saw, and I'm thinking it goes back 12 years ago, before I was the chair. Electronic messaging signs are developing much like electricity did in signs with electricity back probably 50, 60 years ago. I think it needs to take a look at it and have a little better definition to it. The signs can be diverse. Their light value can be actually more, they can give a better message with less light, and with less, being less offensive than perhaps a pylon or a standing sign. And they've become so readily used, sometimes they get implemented, people just think of them in a just I want a sign. They don't define the separation of an EMS versus a regular sign. If you go down to where Derry Plumbing and Heating is, Derry Plumbing and Heating needed a variance in order to put up a digital electronic messaging sign. But right across the street from there, in adversity to the Cumberland Farms variance request, notably, there's a digital sign there that didn't get a variance, and that's in the office medical business district. And, to be constructive to my point and encouraging a review of electronic messaging signs, the new fire station has an EMS, and it's in that OMB zone. My point to this is that these can serve a lot of purpose throughout the community, and they can be constructive, but I think we need to diversify the definition of EMSs a little clearer going forward. So with that concludes my presentation to you. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Questions? comments?
We're good? Okay.
Thank you very
good.
much.
Nice
Appreciate the
visiting with
presentation.
all of you, and things are looking good, so have a good evening.
Thank you for coming in.
Enjoy your work, Linda.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have the Heritage Commission Chair, Paul Lindeman. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Paul Lindeman, and thanks for the chance to share with you who the Heritage Commission is and what all we've been doing. We are essentially the local authority on Derry's history and serve the community in a variety of ways. We operate the Derry Museum of History. We manage all the archives and the collections there, which are extensive. We do a lot of education with outreach, talks and tours and things, and we provide consultation services about historic buildings, genealogy research, and other historic topics. Councilman Chase is our rep, and we have 4 regular members, myself, TJ Cullinane, and Lynn Murray. We have pretty diverse experiences and skill sets, and we make a great team. Mike Hills is our 4th member. He's unfortunately had poor health and not really been active over the last year. His term expires next month. We've had alternate member positions open for quite a while, but we've been recruiting heavily, and I'm happy to say we're about to fill them. In fact, later this evening, you're voting on 2 really excellent candidates for our alternate member slots, and in 2 weeks, a 3rd. So that'll flesh out our ranks. We will have 1 open member position. We'll either elevate one of the alternates or hopefully recruit an additional person. We have a secret weapon in the junior historians. These are dedicated teens that have been working with us for a number of years now. It's pretty amazing, their interest in history and the work that they do. They are museum tour guides, they do research, they help staff events, and they volunteer on projects and things. This is really helped us a lot. We're all somewhat older in terms of membership on the commission, and having the young people has been new blood and new energy. That's helped us be open every Wednesday evening over the last year. We usually get anywhere from 2 to 10 visitors on those Wednesday evenings, so not too bad. We did close down in August and September. Our small space in the basement of the Adams Memorial Building, plus our small office on the upper floor, were packed full. You could barely move around at all, so we took a lot of time to clean them out, organize them. We have some storage areas, a jail cell and a vault, and they're literally a jail cell and a vault, and the office area, so we got them under much better control, and that's helping us move forward. We also created a conference room. The juniors had created a whole new Alan Shepard exhibit space. The old space was in a private room. We've turned that into a conference room now. You can see some of the juniors working in there in that photo. And this allows us to have a secluded space for meetings, for research work, whereas in the past we would have to set up tables in the exhibit areas and then pack that all up when the museum was open. That was really non-productive, and this is a vast improvement. We receive items from townspeople fairly often. People find things in their attics or barns and bring them to us, and we're happy to receive them. We document them and inventory them. Also this year, we had a transition of the chairperson. Karen Blanford Anderson, who I'm sure many of you know, was a fantastic chairperson for several years. She moved to Portsmouth this summer, a little bit unexpectedly from our perspective, and I was elected as the chairperson. I'm pretty decent at getting things done. Dealing with all the administrative and financial and other aspects of running a town commission is, I'll say, still a learning curve, but we're getting there. So we had a number of great events we participated in. The museum was open for all the town events downtown, the Frost Fest and Derby Day, and so on. There you can see one of the photos, a couple of our juniors in costume. However, the young lady is actually Miss Teen New Hampshire in one of the beauty contest groups. And so that's not a costume for her, that's her. And the young girls that came that day were thrilled to get photos with her. This summer, there was a huge history event, the reenactment of General Lafayette's visit to various towns on the East Coast here. He was an instrumental force in the Revolutionary War, and he returned from France to visit many years later, and this reenacted his visits. Here in Derry, he took a carriage ride, a horse and carriage from First Parish Church to Lane Road. The owners of the Adams Female Academy building, where he had spoke 100 or so years ago, were very gracious. We had speeches and things there. It was a great event, and the museum was happy to support that. We also had a booth at Derry Fest, as we've done for many years. You could see in that photo some of our Civil War colleagues who we partner with, help them with reenactments, and they're closely coupled with us, the Heritage Commission. For outreach and education, we've conducted a number of cemetery tours. This past year, our TJ worked with Aaron Moulton, who's an incredible reference librarian and historian with the Derry Public Library, to do multiple tours of the cemetery. You could see in the photo there, if you remember Rick Holmes, who was town historian many years. His health has declined, but he's still relatively active and has participated in things like these tours. Aaron also developed, with our support, a downtown Derry walking tour of the historic sites, and the Heritage Commission collaborates with all the different historic societies and groups in the area as much as we can, including the Derry Public Arts Committee, the Historic Meeting House Preservation up at First Parish, and the Daughters of the American Republic. We had a very big project that we supported this year in that a young gentleman, Nate Cairns, successfully completed his Eagle Scout project by doing a massive renovation of the Nesmith plot in Forest Hill Cemetery. This was quite an old plot. The the stone walls were falling down, the iron fence was all rotted. He recruited the contractors and supervised them. They repaired all the iron and the stonework and cleaned the whole monument and everything. He also recruited volunteers. He did really awesome work, and that site is now very beautiful, and it'll be that way for another 50 or 100 years. So congratulations to Nate on that work, and we were happy to support him in that. Looking forward to 2026, we have a variety of goals. We want to continue recruiting. We want to fill that last member spot. And of course, we're happy to have volunteers. There's a wide array of different projects people can volunteer to help with. You don't have to necessarily join the commission to contribute, and we're welcome for that. We have a big initiative we'll get going in March or April, which is to find the next holder of the Boston Post cane. The Boston Post cane is a long-time tradition in New England that goes to the Derry's oldest resident, in our case, with some stipulations. The past holder passed away last year, and we'll be doing a search to try to identify who meets the qualifications to get the cane in this coming year. It's quite an honor. You may be familiar with the actual cane is in a display case in the street side door downstairs, and the recipient gets a replica of the cane to hang on to. Our TJ Cullinane is quite a historian and author. You may be familiar. With our help, he published a Civil War book documenting all the soldiers from Derry in the Civil War 3 years ago. He's now finishing up a similar work for World War I, identifying all the participants from Derry in that great war with a biography, a profile, photos, and so forth, and we'll be working with him to edit and publish that as well sometime this year. And we want to memorialize Derry's Revolutionary War soldiers. You're familiar with the America 250th coming up right now. Sort of inspired by that, we have the juniors mostly and the rest of us researching to identify the people from Derry that fought or participated in the Revolutionary War. They have over 400 names so far, and they're still going strong. Once we have those fully identified and start doing profiles, we'd like to come back and propose that the town consider doing a physical memorial to the Revolutionary War soldiers. As you know, we have memorials for the other wars in town, the Civil War in East Derry, and McGregor Park has several. It'd be wonderful to also memorialize the Revolutionary War soldiers. So hopefully we'll be ready to talk with you about that later this year. For the museum, we'll be continuing to manage all our artifacts and collections, which is a bigger job than you might appreciate unless you step up to help us, which you're welcome to. You can see there an example of the kind of inventory sheet we fill out for every single artifact that we have, with its dimensions, its history, who donated it, and so forth. All of that then goes into an online database, and we're in that process now, and I hope to make huge progress on it this year. We're also trying to deassess or get rid of things that the museum really shouldn't have to have. As I mentioned, we're very, very short on space, and so there's some things that are duplicate materials or things that were donated that really don't relate strictly to Derry history that we will find a better home for elsewhere. So that is underway right now. Last year, we finalized a formal deaccession document with policies. All these artifacts are town property, so we don't just get rid of them willy-nilly. We have a process for that. We need to explore better storage solutions. Right now, we rent 2 off-site storage units, which costs the town over $500 a month. We've had one, an interior one, which has documents and things. We really need to keep that going. The other we added last year to hold the Newell sleigh and buggy. This was a historic sleigh and a buggy that Harriet Chase Newell wrote about, and it's got a famous documented history. This had been in the barn at the Londonderry Historical Society the last several years. This past summer, they asked us to take it back. I know Karen talked with the town about if there was any kind of space available to place it. That wasn't the case, and so we've rented a 10 by 20 additional unit, mostly just for that. So we want to try to explore again if there's any alternatives to that to save the money of that extra unit. Like maybe there's a firehouse that's standing empty for a while. That could be considered. We need to improve internet access. We just have one land connection very inconveniently. I'm working with Doug now so we can try to get Wi-Fi in there in a secure way to support research work. Down in the basement there, we don't even get cellular reliably, so that's kind of critical to have that internet access. And we want to expand the open hours so more people in the community have the chance to come visit and learn about local history. That is mostly volunteer or staffing driven, and with the larger membership on the commission and hopefully more volunteers, we hope to have more than an hour and a half a week open in the coming year. We continue doing outreach. People tend to really love the tours and the talks we've been giving. We'll be do more of those in the up at the cemetery, as well as the public library, and First Parish will be doing history lectures we'll be supporting. We work with the area schools. The next charter school, for example, has sessions scheduled the next 2 months with their history class, where we'll be teaching them in the museum aspects of our local history. And we have close coupling with the Pinkerton Alumni Association as well. The displays that are downstairs, we manage those, or I should say we're responsible for them. I have to say we haven't managed them as well as we would like to. They don't change that often. This was the 9/11 display, which was very significant. We will be changing them more frequently and loading them with things we think people will be really interested in seeing in this year. And we'll be upping our public presence with online and social media materials, getting more blog posts, articles, stories on our website, as well as using Facebook and Instagram for historic photos and news and things. Again, this has been somewhat staffing related. There's only been a small number of us dealing with a lot of stuff. With a bigger team, we can actually execute some of these things we've been hoping to do. So the best thing that you guys could do is to come visit us in the museum anytime, either Wednesday evenings or by appointment. We're always happy to have people. And we have a website, a Facebook page, and everyone can reach us through our email. So that's a quick look at some of what we've done and what we hope to do. Big ambitions. Now we have a bigger team. So hopefully we can execute even more.
Great.
Any questions or suggestions?
Questions, comments?
Thank you.
No, thank you for the presentation, and
Yeah.
thank you for stepping up when Karen stepped aside and moved, but thank you for all your work, and
Thanks.
big undertaking, but great presentation, and continue the great work you guys are doing.
I didn't quite realize how much that she did behind the scenes.
She's a worker.
Well, you can't go anywhere now. Now that you realize that you're here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, here, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So I think that will wrap up all the boards and committees for us for this year. Just the last two meetings have been a quick preview of what goes on in town behind the scenes and all the inner workings from the boards and committees. So thank you to all those who do serve on those for coming forward with that. On to the next thing. We have the 2026 elections. Madam Town Clerk, Tina Guilford. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to start with a reminder for Saturday, 10 a.m., West Runningbrook, deliberative session for the school district. Please, 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 feel free to come.
February 7th, right?
What?
February 7th, this Saturday.
This Saturday, February 7th.
Just
Yep.
want to clarify.
Okay. So I'm here tonight to talk to you about absentee ballots and the process for absentee ballots. There was a very major, large legislative change, and this will be our first election having this change. And I think it will be significant for our 2026 midterms. But when you apply for an absentee ballot, you can no longer just send us your application. We need a photocopy of your photo ID, or you need to come in person and show us your photo ID, or you need to get your application notarized before we can provide you with a ballot. I do understand, and I do go to people's homes, and I do go to the nursing home. If you are elderly or infirm, or you cannot make it into town hall, please, please, please call the town clerk's office at 603-432-6105. You can email us at townclerk@derrynh.gov. We will come to your home and we will assist you in completing that absentee ballot application and getting that done so that you can vote. We will do that for every election. But we don't know people need help until someone tells us. So in the past, we sometimes have some residents who would just write a note and just drop it in the mail, and we used to be able to send out an absentee ballot application, to them. Now it's going to be different. We need to see that ID. So either we need a photocopy of it, you need to bring it in, or you need to have your application notarized. And we are happy to assist you. We are willing to assist you, but you do need to reach out to us because we don't know who needs help. And that was all I had to say about our election. Absentee ballots will not be available until maybe late next week, because we print our town ballots along with the school district in order to save money. And with the deliberative session being on Saturday, I will not be able to order the absentee ballots until Sunday, the earliest. So I'm really hopeful that, I have the ballot company on speed dial. They're going to get the ballots out to us right away. We have applications already for the election, so feel free to call us if you need an absentee ballot, and we are happy to assist.
Question, Council Webb.
Just two. On the absentee ballot, can a family member bring in a application with the photo ID attached?
They can, but we cannot hand them the ballot. We then have to mail it to the house.
All right. And the other question I have, because I don't know if it's taken effect yet, is the new postmark rules with the post office.
So those postmark rules with the post office do not really affect New Hampshire, because I have to have your absentee ballot by 5 p.m. on election day, no matter what. So it doesn't matter when it's postmarked. We have to have the absentee ballot by 5 p.m. that day.
Council Mills.
Yeah, just to be clear, your lack of absentee ballots right now, it doesn't preclude people from still applying them.
Absolutely
You can
not. I
apply
already have-
at any time.
I have requests already ready to go. As soon as those ballots come in, we will send them out same day.
Thank you.
Okay?
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving along. Councilors, I move to remove from the table the motion to bring ZBA alternate appointment Brent Lixkawa for a vote.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. On the motion, Councilor Mills.
Yes.
Councilor Webb.
Yes.
Councilor Chase.
Yes.
Councilor McEachern.
Yes.
Councilor Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, motion carries. So with that, I move to appoint Brent Lixkawa as an alternate to Zoning Board of Adjustments with the term expiring March 31st, 2027.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
McEachern.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, motion carries 6-0. All right. Some more appointments here. I move the appointment of Gerald LaCourte as an alternate of the Heritage Commission with the term expiring March 31st, 2026.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, motion carries 6-0. I move the appointment of Joel Cameron as an alternate member of the Heritage Commission with the term expiring March 31st, 2027.
Second.
Okay, on the motion. Second. On the motion, Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, 6-0. All right. And let me get through it here. I move the appointment of Elizabeth Robidoux as the town representative to the CART Advisory Board.
Second that.
All right. On the motion, Council Mills.
Yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Thank you, Liz, for stepping up for that. Motion carries 6-0.
Give her more stuff to do.
Yeah. So, councilors, if you indulge me, may I have 2 minutes of personal privilege?
Yes.
All right. Any objections?
No.
All right. So, for those who follow along closely over the last year or so, and for those who don't know, we've had some issues in Derry, admittedly, that there's been some illicit businesses going on in town that, that this council's taken very serious and trying to be very proactive. I think I speak for all of us that it's a high on the priority list for us to eradicate these businesses from town. They're called IMBs, illicit massage businesses. There's been some legislation put forward in Concord that is working its way through the committees right now. Unfortunately, there is some resistance. Not everyone's on board with it. They don't like licensing and whatnot. And But what this bill would do, it would require state licensing for the massage therapists. It would, for the individuals, it would allow inspections, annual inspections, go in, check for, personal hygiene items, things like that. There'll be penalties associated up to including misdemeanors. It would improve public safety, and it would protect legitimate businesses for those who do operate legally. A lot of people say, oh, it's a victimless crime. It's really not a victimless crime. It's heinous, it's gross, it's just inhumane, exploitative. Just to give you some statistics, the National Trafficking Hotline in 2024, there was 12,000 cases of human trafficking in the United States. That equates to 22,000 victims. So break that down. Here in New Hampshire, in the 10 counties that we have in New Hampshire, in 2024, there was 118 reported human trafficking cases. 105 of those were sex trafficking, 13 of those were labor trafficking. 2023, there was 95 cases, with 87 being sex trafficking. So it's getting worse, it's not getting better. And again, hate to admit it, but it happens here in Derry. We would, this time last year, we were just shy of a dozen businesses. We're now down to a couple. In 2023, we passed an ordinance in here that gave us a little more leverage to go in and check these businesses out and make it a little harder. Fact of the matter is, for full transparency, we shut them down. A week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, they were reopening under a new name, new owner, new business, new location, and it's like whack-a-mole. So, a lot of these victims are here. Some are here illegally. Some pay to come here for a better life. And once they get here, they get stuck due to financial situations, immigration status, language barriers, and so I just want to let you know that here, the town council in Derry, the 7 of us, I think we're all unified in that we're going to continue to come after this, and we're going to be very aggressive. We are paying attention to where it goes on, how it goes on, and when it goes on, and we will continue to come after that. And anyone responsible for operating or assisting any of these people will be held accountable. Personally, I've dealt with this the last 8 years I've been on the council with Bev Donovan and our prior town administrator, Dave Karen, and now Mike Fowler. And I've worked with agencies from the state and federal agencies, Homeland Security, and it's absolutely horrible. So I just wanted to put that out there, that help us, help them. So how can you do that? You can send emails to your state representatives. There's 10 state reps from Derry. There's 400 in New Hampshire. You can send it to all 400. You can send an email to the state senators. There's 24 of them. So that's 424 emails. You don't have to do them all individually. You can do them in clump sums. You can go on the general court website and do that. You can call your state representatives. And if you see something, you can say something. So thank you, councilors, for the indulgence. If anyone has anything to say, you can chime in.
I concur 100%. It's a blight in this town. It's been going on. It's worse than whack-a-mole. But we are very, 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 very much behind getting rid of this and eradicating this blight in our town. And thank you, Chairman Foote, for leading the charge on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council Webb?
I just want to reiterate what he said and thank Charlie for all the hard work he's done and the education that he's provided to me on the issue. I know we're doing a lot of work here in Derry, but what that bill and why we need support will do is there's a real concern that if we push them out of Derry, they just go to the next town that maybe doesn't have the same ordinance or the same codes that we have. So it needs to be a statewide administrative program. And yeah, it's administrative, but it's one of the many tools that needs to be part of the basket to get rid of sex trafficking in this state.
Great, thank you. And that's House Bill 1469 particularly is what I'm looking for, 1469. All right, so now that the somberness is out of the way, let's get on to town administrator and the fun stuff, the presentation of the FY audit.
All right, so I'll ask our Chief Financial Officer, Mark Fleischer, and Audit Manager, Scott McIntyre, representing CBIZ, to come to the podium and talk about the results of the FY25 financial audit. And then once that's over, I'll go over some of my comments, and then Mark will go over the quarter two status.
So good evening.
Good evening.
This is Scott McIntyre. He's the managing director of our auditing firm, CBIZ, over in Merrimack. And he would like to review his audit, or our audit, which they performed during the summer.
Thank you, Mark, and good evening, councilors. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and give you a quick walkthrough of our audit of your June 30, 2025 ACFR, or Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, our audit of your financial statements. It's my understanding that 2 documents have been provided to you. One is a rather thick 150 or so pages of the ACFR, and also what we call a governance letter. If you don't happen to have them, that's fine. I'm going to talk about some of the key things that are the results of the audit. I may or may not go to a couple of pages, so if you have them, I'll reference some pages, but if you don't have them, I will talk about the substantive issues which are the results of our audit. I'd first like to talk about the governance letter. We call it a governance letter because our professional standards, generally accepted auditing standards here in the United States, require that we report to, the phrase in the standards is, to those charged with governance. So inherently our profession is just shorten that a little bit and call it a governance letter. It tells you the results of our audit. And it tells you things like, when we came in here to audit your books and records, we found them to be in good working order. What that really means is that the key accounts were reconciled on a regular and timely basis, and as a result of that, in performing our procedures in accordance with all professional standards, we did not need to propose any significant audit entries as a result of our work. It goes on to tell you a little bit more. It talks about things such as key estimates that are in your financial statements, the largest of which deal with your net pension liability, net OPEB liability, and the related accounts associated with them. It also talks to you about independence. We are independent of the town of Derry, but it does go on to tell you that as a service, we help the town put this 150-page document together. Earlier today, I said something along the lines, if we audit 400 governments in New England, we help 399 of them put a report like this together. Very few governments in New England put their own ACFR together, so it's a very common service that audit firms provide to cities and towns. So. With that, I'd like to turn you back to over to the ACFR. In particular, it's on print page 15. This is our opinion on your financial statements. There's nothing new here in our opinion, but I think it's really the highlight of what you hire us to do. This says it goes on for 2.5 pages, but in the end, what it really tells you is that in our opinion, after following all of the professional standards that we are required to do, in our opinion, your financial statements are materially fairly presented in accordance with GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, here in the United States. Very often it's thought of as a clean audit opinion. Technically, what that really means, in the audit profession, we call it an unmodified opinion. There are no modifications. In other words, your statements are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's the best opinion you can get. Nothing new here. It's been this way since as long as I've been involved with the Derry audit, but it certainly is a highlight of any financial statement audit when I can report that there's an unmodified or otherwise that's thought of as a clean audit opinion. Now, there's a lot of information in here. I'm going to try to just, when I start to turn to some of the number pages, there's a lot of information in here. I probably said this last year. There's both a long-term perspective financial statements and a short-term perspective. Very quickly, on the long-term perspective, we just think there's a responsibility to talk to those charged with governance about your net pension liability and your healthcare liability, also known as OPEB, or other post-employment benefits. You know, both of those liabilities were reduced over the prior year. by and large, the assumptions associated with your proportional share of the New Hampshire retirement system, those assumptions haven't changed. The assumptions relative to your OPEB plan, they improved a little bit. That's really why you see a drop in those liabilities. I can answer probably most any question you may have on pension and OPEB, but I really just wanted to bring those to your attention and anyone who may be listening. Those are liabilities out there that just need to be recognized in your financial statements, and I think the profession needs to make sure we talk about those, not just fund balance in your general fund. But with that said, if you are following along in your booklets, if I could turn your attention over to print page 37. This is the short-term perspective financial statements, and the focus here is on the first column of numbers, the general fund of the town, which is, of course, the main operating fund. And it always is. The focus goes in that first column of numbers, the third number up from the bottom, where your unassigned fund balance with an account balance as of June 30, 2025 of just under $18.8 million. A year ago, that was 15.4, so there's about a $3 million increase in that key account balance, and that balance is it's in line with your fund balance policy that's approved by the town council. It's a little bit in excess of your fund balance policy, and it indicates to me a strong balance sheet here in the town of Derry. One more thing that I'd like to point out on this page, if we were just talking about the unassigned fund balance being the third number up from the bottom of that first column, I'd like to focus for a minute on the fifth number up from the bottom. It's called your committed fund balance, with almost $20.5 million. Most of those accounts, there's several in there, it's not just one account, represent your capital reserve funds and your tax increment financing the districts, the funds associated with those two activities, the capital reserves, and there's many of them, and there's a couple of TIF balances that are in there, and that's what's really associated with that key account balance, your committed fund balance. Now, as far as what drove the increase in these balances, I'm not going to turn to it, but if you want to make a note, if you go to page 87 in your report, it's your budget versus actual comparative page. It shows you the variance between the actual revenues that came in compared to the estimates, and on the other side of the equation, it shows you the outflows or the expenditures of your general fund compared to the budget. The bottom line on that page in the lower right-hand corner is a little over $5 million. That $5 million is what's driving the increase back here on page 37. It's driving the increase in both your unassigned fund balance and your committed fund balance. So budgetary results of operations really drive the balance sheet, and again, that bottom line in the lower right-hand corner of page 87, it's what's driving the change and the increase in the two accounts on page 37 that we spoke about, your unassigned fund balance and your committed fund balance. Now, the very last two pages in this report are what I call your GAGAS report, GAGAS being an acronym. I know auditors love acronyms, generally accepted government auditing standards. The very last two pages in this bound report, those standards require us to report on our evaluation of your internal controls. If you look right in the middle of the first page of that, it starts in with a definition of what a significant deficiency is and a material weakness is. Those are classifications of breakdowns in internal controls. The definitions are pretty straightforward in there. Very pleased to be able to report that based on our audit of your June 30, 2025 financial statements, we did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in your internal control over financial reporting. So it's a super fast walkthrough of our audit of your financial statements, as well as hitting some of the key account balances. Touched only quickly on the long-term liabilities that I spoke about. The focus really is, for most readers, on looking at the fund balance section of your general fund balance sheet on page 37. From my perspective, the biggest takeaway that I'd like to leave Derry tonight with is the things I talked about in the governance letter, where we found the books and records to be in good working order, and we did not need to propose any significant audit entries as a result of our work. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll do my best to answer any questions that the council may have.
Well, thank you for the Great overview. We appreciate that. Council Mills.
I just have one question, and this is mostly for my wife who's watching at home, who probably thought that was all gibberish. Can you give us a Roman emperor's thumbs up or thumbs down on our audit here?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. See? We're just going to sum it up that quickly for those who aren't math majors. Thank you.
Council Webb.
I know you're an auditing firm, but as you said, you're a national company that does, many throughout New England. So you may not have a perspective on this, but I just want to ask, is through your observation of both nationally and in this area, do you see upcoming any either good or bad economic stressors that towns may be facing the next year or two?
I try to say this diplomatically. That's not our area of
Right.
expertise.
No, I understand that.
Nice loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We follow the professional standards to test and evaluate whether or not your reports are in accordance with
Yeah.
generally accepted accounting principles.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
No, great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mark,
And-
thank
yeah.
you very much for all the work you guys do.
Yes.
Always a highlight in the town of Derry, keeping the books right, so.
Yeah, great job,
Your
Mark.
efforts are
Thank you.
very much appreciated.
Now the
It's really,
CFO.
it's a joint effort with everybody.
No, the team does a great job.
All employees in
Yeah.
town.
Department
everybody
heads,
does their job.
everybody, you guys do a fantastic job, it's always.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mark. So the CFO and Mr. Fowler and the Finance Department, thank you very much for all the great work.
All right, and Mark will be returning in just a second, so Owen, if you want to put up his slide set. But in the meantime, I've got a couple of other general interest items for everybody. So I wanted to first start with the Department of Public Works. As many people are aware, it's been a pretty brutal season. We had a large storm over the weekend of January 25th and 26th. Total accumulations were reported in the town between 20 and 22 inches. I want to provide my compliments to the DPW staff. They put a lot of long hours in, managed through this challenging storm, but shortly after, the town roads and sidewalks were cleared immediately after the conclusion of the storm. So I know Clint's here, and he spearheads that, but I just want to give Mike congratulations. They did a really good job in this storm, as they always do. Finances, I know Mark's going to go over some Q2 items for fiscal 26, but we are looking forward here to the fiscal 27 budget preparation. Staff's working on the 6-year capital improvement plan, and Mark and I will be presenting the CIP to the planning board on the 18th of February, so that's coming up really soon. Building and infrastructure projects, I want to report, I received some correspondence from the state indicating that the C contract, so picking up from the basically just east of the Pinkerton Street and Schneider Road intersection, that's the end of the B contract, going east all the way out to 102. They've reported a delay in the advertising date, so that was originally going to be in late 27, early 2028. That has now been pushed out until January 2029 at a minimum. So what that probably means is the construction is going to be in a window now between 2030 and 2032. I'll be getting additional information, but I am going to be talking to the state about the interim condition because B is scheduled to complete in 2028. And presuming that that schedule that's been given to us is accurate, there's going to be a gap in between. We were always given the impression that that was going to be a sequential project, that once A was done, B would start. Once B was completed, C would start, and we would have one continuous train. Now with the gap, that brings up some more questions. So we'll get back around. We'll provide that information to the council as soon as we hear back from them, but I wanted to give everybody the first notice of that information. And then lastly, personnel. At the end of the 2025 calendar year, we had indicated we commemorated Vern Thomas's retirement from the police department. As a result of that, Chief Fioli has gone out and conducted interviews to backfill positions starting at the captains, and a lot of times what happens is if you backfill one position, it creates multiple bumps and jumps within the department. So at this point, recent promotions. Jonathan Breen has been promoted to captain. He's been assigned to the operations division. Christopher Talbot has been assigned to and promoted to the detective lieutenant position. Patrick Dawson's been promoted to the administrative lieutenant, assigned to the patrol bureau, and Nikita Tomyuk has been promoted to sergeant, assigned to the patrol bureau. So I want to congratulate everybody that received promotions in this most recent cycle, and I also wanted to thank Chief Fioli for taking and tackling that and backfilling these positions rather promptly. And that's all I have for tonight. Hand it over to Mark.
So, this is the second quarter financial report. This quarter ended December 31st, 2025. So our status to date, December is 50% through the fiscal year. We're going to talk about our general fund operational revenues and expenses. The general fund operations does not include taxes, overlay, TIF, capital, and EMT revenues or expenses. So for FY26 through December 31st, our budget was 77% for revenues and 69% for expenses. A year ago, for FY25, the revenues were 69% and expenses 60%. FY26 is higher than FY25, primarily due to the receipt and transfer of $20,700,000 in bond proceeds in quarter one for the parking garage at Abbott Court. Revenues and expenses can run higher due to contractual obligations booked for the entire year. So some of the revenue variations for operational revenues in FY26, the benchmark, well, the results are 77% of budget, and FY25 was 69%. So some of the items that are tracking better exceeds the 50% benchmark. In fire, we had receipts of contracted ambulance and dispatch services. Fire permits and ambulance revenues are trending above budget. Over in tax, motor vehicle registrations are 54% of budget. And again, recent transactions continue to include higher-end vehicles, steady volume in private sales and title applications, as well as a model year 2026 registrations. Overall, motor vehicle revenue is $78,946, higher than a year ago. Over in IT, we have intergovernmental revenue from cable, water, and wastewater. In assessing, our timber tax is 96.4% of budget. In OMO, interest revenue is 89.2% of budget. Town clerk, marriage licenses and vital records are 67.8% of budget. Civil forfeiture revenue is 124% of budget. Over in planning, the planning applications are 113.6% of budget. And in code, building permits are 95.8% of budget. Some of the revenue variations that are tracking below 50%, over in health, their permit revenue is 48.7% of budget, but most of their activity takes place in quarter 3 and 4, so I think they're going to end up with a decent year. In police, the annual SRO and Chester prosecutor billings will be processed in the fourth quarter. Human services, the repayments of assistance is 25% of budget. In town clerk, dog license revenue is 16% of budget. And again, most activity will be in quarter 3 and 4 for that revenue line. In elections, the intergovernmental revenue for the March election will take place in the third quarter. Cemetery, burial fees are at 20.9% of budget. And we did do a transfer from the cemetery trust in quarter 2. Recreation, the transfers from the Alexander Carr and McGregor Trust will happen in quarter 4. In parks, we did an Alexander Carr transfer in the second quarter. And in highway, the inspection fees are 39.1% of budget, and we'll be taking the annual Transportation Improvement Fund, Trust Fund transfer in the fourth quarter. So expenditure variations. Again, so far this year, we're at 69% of budget. Last year, at the same time, we're at 60%. Departments are trending individually between 33% and 93%. So some of the expenditures that are tracking below the 50% In fire, we have 4 vacant, 4 paramedic and firefighter positions and a chief position that are vacant. In police, we have 6 patrolmen and a captain as of December 31st, and our SRO expenses were only 26.6% of budget. This next line really belongs down below. This OMO earned time buyouts at 115.7% of budget because that's exceeding our 50% benchmark for expenditures. So that's a typo. In fire, overtime is 65% of budget, and it's offset due to the vacancies. In town clerk, postage is 130.7% of budget due to a state-required mailing in the first quarter, but that's more than offset by the civil forfeiture revenue that town clerk is collecting. In IT, we have the annual software support payments that were processed in the first quarter. Assessing, the annual assessing contract is encumbered, that starting in the first quarter. Human services, same with the agency payments, they're encumbered. In highway, the annual roadway maintenance and road salt is encumbered. At the transfer station, the annual contracted services are encumbered. Other information, the town completed spending the bond proceeds related to the construction of the new fire station during the quarter ending 12/31/25. Total interest earnings, which commenced in July of 2022, amounted to $2.1 million. Interest earnings on the unspent bond proceeds for the parking garage totaled $324,000 since August of 2025. The current interest rate where those funds are is 3.691%. So that's all I have. I don't take any questions. Overall, I think our revenues and expenses are doing well.
Councilor Gerken. You got a question?
No.
Comment?
I get one. Okay, I guess. Since I am on the committee, again, great job by the team, and these results are very consistent with what we've done over the years. I mean, this is never a game where it's 1/12 every month, right? So these things tend to ebb and flow, and I think the team does a fantastic job keeping everything in line, and we utilize a lot of the interest from the bonds and keep things going. So fantastic job again, Mark, by you and the entire team.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm fine with the figures. It's a thumbs up again. That's all I care.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Dave.
Thumbs up.
Dave, thumbs up.
It's a thumbs up.
Mark. Appreciate it.
Finances, thumbs up.
All right. Back to you, Mike.
All right, we have a public hearing scheduled. I'd like to bring Greg Laro up to the podium, talk about the adoption of the 2025 hazard mitigation.
All right. So officially, we're in the public hearing stage, so this is 26-03, Resolution 2026-001.
Okay.
To accept the 2025 hazard mitigation plan update. Good evening, Chief.
Evening, councilors. Thank you for having me here tonight. So the council may recall that in 2024, the town received a 75% cost match from FEMA for updating our hazard mitigation plan through the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. FEMA requires communities to have an updated hazmat plan adopted by the local governing body to be eligible for pre- and post-weather-related disaster funding. So this includes eligibility for the BRIC, which is the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grants, as well as the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program itself and the Flood Mitigation Assistance Grant Program. So a hazard mitigation plan is a strategic document created to identify the community's risks for natural disasters and outlines long-term actions to reduce those risks or eliminate them. And Derry's hazmat plan was last updated in 2020. It will be due for re-update again in 2031. Over the last year, one of our battalion chiefs, Ryan Bump, has coordinated the project, working closely with Jane Hubbard Consulting to conduct the update. This involved direct collaboration with the departments of Public Works, Police, Planning, and Fire, followed by a submission to FEMA for review. I'm happy to report at this time that the plan we submitted to FEMA has received tentative approval, satisfying all of FEMA's requirements, with the last step being adoption by the council. I want to take a second to thank Chief Bump for his time, effort that he put into this project. He saw it through to completion. It wasn't an easy endeavor, but his perseverance and commitment are a testament to his dedication to our department and to the town.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion on the public hearing.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open the public hearing.
Somebody.
On the motion, Counsel Mills.
Yes.
Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel McGuckern.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open in this matter. If you wish to speak,
Owen.
please come up, state your name and address for the record, and Owen will look online.
Mr. Chair, we're seeing no one rise at this time online.
And seeing no one here jumping to the forefront, I will make the motion to close the public hearing.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion and a second to close the public hearing. Counsel Mills.
Yes.
Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel McGuckern.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Public hearing is now closed. This matter. Councilors, questions, comments for the chief?
Pretty straightforward. If there are no questions, I can read the short one. Resolution 2026-001 to approve the 2025 Hazard Mitigation Plan update. Whereas the town of Derry recognizes the threat that natural hazards pose to people and property within Derry, and whereas the town of Derry has prepared a multi-hazard mitigation plan, hereby known as the 2020 Hazard Mitigation Plan, in accordance with federal law, including the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act as amended, the National Flood Assurance Act of 1968 as amended, the National Dam Safety Program Act as amended, and whereas the 2020 Hazard Mitigation Plan was adopted on December 15, 2020 under Resolution 2020-057, which identifies mitigation goals and actions to reduce or eliminate long-term risks to people and property in Derry from the impacts of future hazards and disasters, and whereas adoption of the town of Derry demonstrates its commitment to hazardous mitigation and achieving goals outlined in the 2020 Hazard Mitigation Plan, whereas the council accepts the 2025 update as required in order for the town to remain eligible for federal disaster assistance. Now, therefore, be it resolved in council that 2025 hazardous mitigation update is hereby approved and adopted. Resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. On the motion, Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel McGuckern.
Yes. Who?
Counsel Mills.
Yes.
Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 6-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Want to make sure he's paying attention.
Yeah. You threw
Keeping
us
it right
off.
away. Trying to keep it alive.
Threw us off there.
All right, moving along. 26-04, Resolution 2026-002, to name the Margaret Ives Conservation Area, 23 Gulf Road. Mr. Fowler presenting.
All right, so this brings me a lot of pleasure to bring this forward. Chairperson Bazanga had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and had indicated the DCC's intent to name this area 23 Gulf Road after Margaret Ives. The Derry Conservation Committee has provided a recommendation at their January 12th, 2026 meeting, and they took a formal vote on that, and it was obviously a unanimous vote to recommend the naming of the property. So just from a procedural standpoint, Town Council is the owner of the property and hence should take an affirmative action in this matter. There's a resolution that has been prepared to formally name this after Margie Ives, and I think it's a wonderful tribute to her. So with that, you can open up the public hearing.
Motion on the public hearing.
Second that.
Okay, motion to second open public hearing. On the motion, Counsel Chase.
Yes.
Counsel McGuckern.
Yes.
Counsel Mills.
Yes.
Counsel Webb.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Public hearing is now open. If you wish to speak, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Is there anybody online, Owen?
Mr. Chair, seeing none rise online.
Okay.
Good evening, Richard Metz, 8 Dustin Ave, member of the Conservation Commission, as a lifelong resident who's known Margie Ives for most of my life, through her grandson and through all the work that she's done in town. I would ask that tonight you vote in the affirmative to honor Margie, much as you've done Albert Doolittle and Fran Cormier. So please, I ask that you vote in the affirmative to finally honor Margie. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Chabot, come on up again. No, you had a great start, so.
For you guys. Eileen Chabot, 4 Sparlet Drive, Derry, New Hampshire. As I said, I've been a resident of Derry since 1991. I've known Margie a long time. I joined the commission in 1993 at the invitation of Fran Cormier, and I've been on the commission for a while. I've watched Margie over the decades, like I said, nurture all her relationships across town and across the state for the benefit of Derry, to acquire conservation lands like Broadview Farm, like Cornellison, like Rowan Fair Farm. She also helped acquire many, many conservation easements across town by educating property owners on the benefits of having a conservation easement on their property. And we're all, as citizens of Derry, benefited from that greatly. You know, we have many wonderful open lands to enjoy, and like I said, also she just has done so much, nurturing Boy Scouts, as we heard earlier about Eagle Scout projects. Numerous Eagle Scout projects have been performed on our conservation areas. She also initiated a wonderful land steward program. She made sure that every one of our properties had an assigned land steward, and she did that by reaching out within the community to abutters of our conservation properties, our various conservation properties, and she incorporated and got willing participants who live near these properties to sign up to be a steward, to care for the property, and also to alert the Conservation Commission of any damage to the property, any encroachments, anything that needed maintenance. And that has greatly improved our properties over the years. And there's just a whole host of things that she's done, but that's just another example. I just wholeheartedly urge all of you to please vote unanimously to name 23 Gulf Road in Margaret Ives Conservation Area, like in her honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come up and speak?
Mr. Chairman, seeing no one online and no one jumping to the forefront, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close. Council Mills?
Yes.
Council Webb?
Yes.
Council Chase?
Yes.
Council McEachern?
Yes.
Council Spencer?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Public hearing is now closed. I'll open up to the councilors for comments.
Yeah, I earlier today had received a phone call from Gordon Graham, Maggie's nephew, who I served with Gordon on this council for many years. And Gordon regrets that he couldn't make it tonight. For those that don't know, he's one of the attorneys for several school boards, and he's busy tonight. And same with Margaret. They couldn't make it. Gordon was going to bring them. And he just wanted me, on behalf of not only himself, but Margaret, express appreciation for this action tonight, which I'm 100% sure we're going to go unanimous on. So he expressed great appreciation for this. And quite frankly, I've known Margie as long as most of the folks in this audience since I've been in town, and she's done an outstanding job and an outstanding steward of conservation and education in this town of Derry. So if nobody else has anything to say, I think Dave does.
Yeah.
But after Councilor Mills is done, I'd be honored to read the resolution on behalf of Margie.
I'm sure almost everybody that's had any length of time in this town has a Margie Ives story, and I just wanted to share mine because I had just moved to this town, and I went to my very, very first Dairy Fest, and I didn't know anybody around, and I happened to walk past the conservation area booth, and there was this huge map. At the time, they were getting Broadview Acres, and I didn't know anything about it, but there was my house because I was in a butter, and I was like, why is my house in the middle of a map here in Dairy Fest? And she took the time to explain I was in a butter, I should be getting mail, if I'd like to participate, and long story short, I became a member of the Conservation Committee within 3 weeks after that. So, all thanks to Margie.
There you go. Council Webb?
just that she's, again, one of those persistent and gentle leaders that communities thrive on. And I hope that others follow her example and step up.
Yeah, and I'll echo whatever has been said. So Gordy called me as well, left me, I didn't talk to him, he left me a message, but he left me a very long, heartfelt message about his aunt, and everything he said was spot on, and she wasn't only just conservation, she was involved in other town ventures as well, right? Town moderator and a plethora of other things that I probably don't even know about, but she's another one who's built a legacy in this town and always, very deserving of everything. So, so with that, I'll hand it off.
Yeah, with that, it's my honor to read Resolution 2026-02 to approve the naming of 23 Gulf Road, the Margaret Ives Conservation Area. Whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter designates the Town Council as the governing and legislative body of the town, and whereas the Conservation Commission has actively participated as steward in conserving 33 acres at 23 Gulf Road since 1998, and whereas this parcel has been identified by the Conservation Commission as appropriate to name after one of the long-standing commissioners, Margaret Ives, and whereas the Derry Town Council seeks to recognize the dedication, passion, and years of community service exhibited by Margaret Ives, and now therefore be resolved in council that the Town Council, consistent with the authority granted under RSA 36A, hereby approves the Conservation Commission's recommendation to officially name parcel 04064, 23 Gulf Road as the Margaret Ives Conservation Area in recognition to her contributions to the Derry Conservation Commission. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage, adopted February 3rd, 2026.
Second.
Okay, the motion and a second. On the motion, Council Mills.
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Council Webb.
Yes.
Council Chase.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Absolutely.
Council Spencer.
So happy to be able to say yes.
All right, and as am I, I'm definitely a yes. She's, again, built a great legacy here, so she's very well deserving, so that motion carries 6-0. All right. Council comments, I know there's a few council comments. Council Spencer, do you want to start?
Thank you. Yes, I just had a couple. There was lots of congratulations tonight to Margie, to all our police promotions. I wanted to echo Mike on thanking DPW with the storm. I try to get on social media and see what people are going to gripe about when we have storms like that, and there really weren't. Even the few people that had some concerns, other people stepped in to explain why it might be that way, and it was a thank you and great job. So everybody just did a great job. And then the last thing that I wanted to kind of go back to Councillor Foot's chair's report in talking about the illicit massage businesses, and just give, just kind of reiterate, I think it spoke to the point of it isn't a victimless crime, and we just need to remember that these are not they're not willing sex workers in these establishments, and there is sex trafficking. And so if everybody was consenting, that would be a different story. We don't necessarily see that here, so bear that in mind. And also want to give a shout out, in addition to Councillor Foot, kind of his partner in leading this charge has been Representative Jody Nelson as well, and just want to make sure that we give a thank you for all the work that she's been doing on this as well. And that's it.
Thank you. Yes, Representative Nelson's been very instrumental in doing a lot of this. So, Council Mills is also a co-sponsor on the bill.
I just wanted to wholeheartedly reiterate that we need the support. Is the public input still open on the webpage? No. It's closed? Okay.
No, so I definitely do the, I hope to have a lot of emails and then in the general quote website, just a blanket email statement to everybody. So, yeah. Council Webb.
Just a brief thing. In the past 2 meetings, we've had water boards speak and talk about what they're doing. I just want to thank, these are all community volunteers. And we talked about Craig Bulkey, Phil Fernando, and Margie Ive. Again, these are community volunteers that have left a huge impact on this community by giving us their time, their intellect, and their passions. Whether it's serving on a board or serving, in many cases, multiple boards and community organizations. And I hope everybody's example becomes an example for future people to become leaders.
To your point, we have a great community, and a lot of people forged the way for us. Anyone else, Councilor McEachran? Anyone else? All right, with that, I'll take a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.